Hello everyone, welcome to the PHP Hypertext Preprocessor session 2. Today we are continuing the next session of the PHP. In previous session we have discussed the basics of the PHP like PHP syntax, operators, constants, variables. Now let us see a further PHP control statement. The control statements are if else, PHP if else. In PHP, if else statements are used to test a condition. There are various ways to use. There are 4 types: if else, if, and nested if. We go through one by one how the if else statement, how the control statement, how to use it to test a condition will work. PHP if statement. PHP if statement allows a condition execution of code. It is executed if condition is true. If statement is used to execute the block of code exists inside the if statements only if they specified the condition is true. We can see the syntax. You can understand easily. By definition, it executes if the condition is true. If statement true, the code is executed. If false, another code is executed. It is the simple if statement. If the condition is true, the code is executed. The example here you can see PHP if $num less than is equals to 100, echo the variable name is less than is 100. We are printing in a value, and the output, when we run the program, the number should be entered. 12 is less than 100. The output shown is num 12. It will print num is less than 100. 2 is less than 100. PHP if else statement. PHP if else statement is executed whether the condition is true or false. It will execute when it is true or false. If else statement is slightly different from if statement. It executes one block of code if the specified condition is true, and another block of code if the condition is false. Here you can see a flow chart, and we are given a num less than is equals to 100. If it is the true, it will execute the if code and it will give the output. If it is false and there is a written in another code, like if greater than or equals to 100, we are printing in a value it is false, and that code will be executed. If now see the syntax. If num is less than is equals to 100, code will be executed, else it is false. PHP if else if statement. The PHP if else if is a special statement used to combine a multiple if. There are combining in a multiple statements, the multiple if else if is used. So we can check a multiple conditions using this statement. You can see the syntax. If condition 1 it is true, else if the condition is true, else if we can use a many statement as possible. PHP nested if statement. The nested if statement contains the if block inside the another if block. The inner if statement execute only when the specified condition is the outer if statement is true. If one block of code is true, then it will execute the another block of code. If starting block of code is false, it will directly execute the output. When you see a flowchart, you will be understand easily. If the one condition is true, the first condition is true, it will execute another if statement, and then it will execute the code. If the first block of code is false, and it will be directly printed as the output. It is a false block of code. PHP switch. PHP switch statement is used to execute the one statement from a multiple conditions. It works like a PHP if else if statement, same as, but switch statement we can take an example as marks. We can give, I will explain with the syntax. Switch case value 1 break, case value 2 break, default. If less than marks is 100, print A. If less than marks is greater than 70, print B. We can execute like code. Important points to be noticed about the switch case. The default is an optional statement. Even it is not important, the default must always be the last statement. Better to give in the default statement. There can be only one default in a switch statement. More than one default may lead to a fatal error. It will display, obviously it will display when we give a more than one default. Each case can have a break statement which is used to terminate the sequence of a statement. The break statement is optional to use in switch. If break is not used, all the statement will execute after finding the matched case value. Better way, the break statement is used. If not, the statement one after the other, it will match, but the statement all must be executed. PHP allow you to use number, character, string as well as a function in a switch expression. Nesting of a switch statement is allowed, but it makes the program more complex and less readable. You can use a semicolon instead of a colon. It will not generate any error. We can use both semicolon and a colon also. Next, we are moving to a for statement. PHP for loop. PHP for loop can be used to traverse set of code for the specified number of times. It should be used if the number of iterations is known. Otherwise, use while loop. This means for while loop is used when you already know how many times you want to execute a block of code. It allows user to put all the loop related statements in one place. See the syntax given below. You can understand, because when we are using a for statement, we must use when the iteration, like we are printing in a sum of n numbers or any other 1 to 10 or 1 to 100, we can use. We know we are printing in only 100 numbers. We don't know, we can use the while loop there. While loop will be different from a for loop little bit. We can see the syntax for initialization and the condition increment, decrement, and what is the code to be executed. Flowchart. The initialization and the condition must be executed. If the true, the increment will be again. The increment will be again. Condition will be executed. If the statement condition is true, the statement will be executed, and the again increment. If the condition is false, it will be displayed as the output. Some of the parameter must be executed in the for loop. The PHP for loop is similar like the Java C++ for loop. The parameters of for loop having the following meanings: initialization, condition, and increment and decrement. Some of the parameters that must be executed in the for loop PHP. Initialize the loop counter value. The initial value of the for loop is done only once. This parameter is optional. Condition, evaluate each iteration value. The loop continuously executes until the condition is false. If true, the loop execution continues. Otherwise, the execution of the loop ends. Increment, decrement, it increments or decrements the value of the variable. The initialization is an optional, but because the condition and increment and decrement is important, where the condition executes loopingly. The for loop, the loop tells continue iteration. If the condition is true, it will go to the increment and it will again gets the condition. When it will false, there the loop will be ended. PHP nested for loop. You can use loop inside for loop in PHP is known as a nested for loop. The inner for loop executes only when the outer for loop condition is found true. Here same as we see in a nested while, nested if statement. If the first condition is true, the next block of code will be executed. If the condition is false, it will get directly to the output. You can see the example. For I is equals to 1, I less than is equals to 3, I plus plus is, if it is true, it will print it will execute a next statement. For j is equals to 1, j less than or equals to 3, j plus plus. Echo variable name I, print I and print j, given a break statement. PHP for each loop. PHP for each loop is used to traverse array elements. When we are executing an array elements, it will be traversed. You can see a flow chart. The for each loop will be started, the array and as a variable name has been given. If it true, the block of code will be executed and it will iterate and it will jump to an array statement and then it will be executed. When it falls, it directly gives the output. For each array as variable name and block of code. For PHP while loop, PHP while loop can be used to traverse a set of code like a for loop. The while loop executes a block of code repeatedly until the condition is false. Once the condition gets false, it exits from the body of the loop. It should be used if the number of iteration is not known. In for loop, we want to execute when the iteration wants to be known. In while loop, if we does not know any iteration, how many times, we can use the for loop. The while loop is also called an entry control loop because the condition is checked before the entering the loop body. This means that the first condition is checked. If the condition is true, the block of code will be executed. If false, it will directly goes to the output. Syntax: while condition, code will be executed. Or alternative, while condition, code executed, and a end while. Nested while loop. We can use a while loop inside the other while loop in PHP. It is known as a nested while loop. In case of inner or a nested while loop is executed fully for one outer while loop. If outer while loop is to be executed for 3 times and nested while loop for 3 times, nested while loop and executed 9 times, 3 for first outer loop, 3 for second outer loop and 3 for third outer loop. In PHP nested while loop, it will execute the one block of code with the another block of code. It will execute if the 9 times, you can say here, the full body outer loop will be executed. 3 times nested while loop for 3 times. Nested while loop will be executed total overall with the 9 times. The first outer loop will be executed 3, second outer loop executed with the 3 and third outer loop executed with the 3 times. PHP infinite while loop. If we pass true in a while loop, it will be infinite loop. When we not given any condition with the false statement, or it will be never end. It will goes on looping. It will goes on iteration. One by one, while true code to be executed. Hello Mifratech, you can see example. PHP while true echo hello Mifratech echo break. It will execute a n number of times. It will goes on executing a hello Mifratech break, hello Mifratech, hello Mifratech, hello Mifratech. This how infinite while loop will work. Next we go to the PHP do while. PHP do while can be executed to traverse a set of code like a PHP while loop. Same. The PHP do while is guaranteed to run at least once. In while loop, if the condition is false, it directly goes to the print and output. In do while loop, it will run, the loop will be execute once, then it not true, then it will execute a false statement. The PHP do while loop is used to execute a set of code of program several times. If you have execute loop at once and the number of iterations is not even fixed, it is recommended to use the do while loop. It executes the code at least one time always, because the condition is checked after the execution of a code. You can see syntax: do, code to be execution, while, condition, flowchart. Do, here you can see the statement, the do statement will be executed, and the condition, if true, it will goes once, at least once it will be executed, then it will get false. The main difference or a similar difference between the while and do whiles are: the while loop is also named as a entry control loop. The do while is similar as exit control loop. The body of the loop does not execute if the condition is false. The body of the loop executes at least once, even if the condition is also false. Condition checked first, then the block of statement executes. Here in the do while, block of statements executes first, then condition checks. This loop does not use a semicolon to terminate the loop. In do while, semicolon is used to terminate the loop. PHP break statement. PHP break statement breaks the execution of the current for, while, do while, switch or for each loop. If you use break inside the inner loop, it breaks the execution of the inner loop only. The break keyword immediately ends the execution of the loop or a switch structure. It breaks the current flow of the program at the specified condition, and the program control resumes at the next statements outside the loop. If the condition is executed in any for, do while or each loop, if once the condition is given and the break statement is given, it will stops that condition only. The break statement can be used in the all types, while, do while, etc. with the switch case also. You can see a flow chart. If the condition within a loop, if the true, we can break the statement. If the condition false, we can iterate many times when the condition is true. Syntax: jump statement, break. PHP continue statement. The PHP continue statement is used to continue the loop. It continues the current flow of the program and skips the remaining code at the specified condition. The continue statement is used within looping and switch control structure when you immediately jump to the next iteration. The syntax: jump statement, continue. When we see a flowchart, you can understand easily. Condition within the loop: if the condition is true, the continue statement will be executed, and then the condition with the loop, then it has been true, the condition continue statement will be executed. Iteration will be going on. If when the condition is false, the print statement will be defined. The echo statement, the what was to be printed, that will be shown. PHP functions. PHP function is a piece of a code that can be reused many times. It can take an input as argument list or return value. There are thousands of built-in functions in PHP. In PHP, we can define a conditional functions, function within a function, recursive function. Also, there are so many functions. We have three. When we are using any PHP functions, some advantage when we use the code reusability, the less code and easy to understand. We can use a code invoked by many times. Less code, it saves a lot of time. We cannot write a many times a code, repeated code, and code, you don't need to write the logic many times. If you write in a one time, it will be executed by the use of function. You can write a logic only once and reuse it. We can easy to understand. Once we are seeing the code has been understood easily, the PHP function separates the programming logic, so it is easier to understand the flow of the application because every logic is divided in the forms of function. It has been the defined section, and we use the comments also. It is easy to understand. The functions are easy to understand. User defined function. We can declare and call user defined function easily. Function name. The simple one. Example function. Say hello echo. Hello PHP function. When function name is defined, the function name is called, the output will be printed. PHP function arguments. We can pass the information in PHP functions through arguments which is separated by comma. PHP supports call by value. It is default. Then we have three different types: call by reference, default argument values, variable length argument list. Pass single argument. Let's see an example. Function say hello and the variable name, echo hello name we have given, and we have closing, and say hello. The function has been calling call by value. The value has been calling say hello Sono, value John. The output will be printed Sono, Vimal, John. And we have seen how the statements will work in this session. If statement, for statement, while statement, for each loop, and switch statements also. We will see in the next session with the many more PHP. Let's learn how it will work and PHP, what are they after these statements, etc. And thank you for watching this video.